today we're in the City of London, otherwise known as the Square Mile, and I'm going to tell you 10 interesting facts that I guarantee at least 5 of which you didn't know. So let's get straight into it. So I'm just off Liverpool Street, which is over there, Liverpool Street station, and would you believe it, I don't even know this, there's a tennis court in the City of London. There's a few people playing tennis for lunch. In at number 10, did you know there are more international telephone calls made from the City of London than anywhere else in the world? I didn't know that. Number 9, there are over 500 different banks that operate from the City of London. Most of them are actually foreign. There are more Japanese banks in the City of London than there are in Tokyo, and there are more American banks in the City of London than there are in Manhattan. Alright, this next one I bet most of you knew. Geography plays a very important role in the success of London, or the City of London, at the global financial district. The reason for that is, unlike other global financial districts, whether that's Tokyo, New York or Hong Kong, London's position on the earth means its time zones are perfectly aligned to trade with the Eastern Hemisphere in the morning and the Western Hemisphere in the evening. And that's why it's advantageous and beneficial for companies to be based in the City of London. Before 1980, any bank that was based in the City of London had to be within 10 minutes of walking distance to the Bank of England. And the reason for that was because in the event of any crisis, the Bank of England wanted every CEO of every bank in the City of London in the Bank of England offices within 30 minutes. Here's another one I bet you didn't know. The Bank of England is actually the central bank for the whole of the United Kingdom, and yet it's still called the Bank of England. So the City of London is actually the oldest part of London, and although it's the oldest part of London, it doesn't look very old. So most of the buildings around me and all the big skyscrapers and new headquarters, they're not old. And the reason for that is because most of these buildings have been entirely destroyed and then rebuilt twice. First in the Great Fire of London in 1666, and then again after being bombed in the Second World War. This brings me on to the next fact, and that is about a quarter of the buildings in the City of London are replaced every 25 years. I bet you didn't know that. So the next time you're here, if you look up, you're probably going to see tons of new construction sites, and that's partly why. London covers 600 square miles and has a population of 9 million, but only its oldest part is called the City of London, and that's where we are today, otherwise known as the Square Mile. In the Square Mile, you're going to find tons of investment banks, insurance companies, the Bank of England and the London Stock Exchange. As well as this, you're going to find tons of retail outlets, shopping malls, coffee shops and tons of small businesses. The City of London combines the most modern headquarters with Roman remains and medieval churches, and it's one of the best places in London to explore on foot. So if you're ever out and about, if you're at work in the city, or if you're passing through London, make sure you come through the City of London. This video is part 3 of a 3-part series in partnership with the City of London Corporation, and part of their Square Smile campaign to help you rediscover what makes the City of London worth exploring. If you're out and about in the City of London, in the Square Mile, make sure you use the hashtag Square Smile on social media so you can share the cool places that you visit in the City of London with everyone else online. Now, if you're ever in the City of London and you see one of these guys, these are the dragons of the City of London, and they guard the entrances and exits of the Square Mile. Alright, so next, some of the most famous institutions in the City of London actually started out in coffee houses at the end of the 17th century. Edward Lloyd's coffee house was where ships and their cargoes could go to be insured, and eventually that turned into Lloyd's of London. And last but not least, the City of London is the centre of global foreign exchange, or otherwise known as Forex dealing. Check this, over 40% of the world's global foreign exchange transactions happen here, right here in the City of London. That's a total of $2.7 trillion of Forex transactions every single day. That was 10 interesting facts about the City of London. How many did you not know prior to this video? And how many did you know? Let me know in the comments below. It's super cold, it's super windy. I'm gonna go into Charles Tirrit and buy a new shirt and a jumper, maybe one of these. But I will see you in the next video. Peace.